Hello and welcome back to our lecture series on two-port network. So in this video, we are going to be looking at the concept of symmetry when we are dealing with two-port network. So before we get into this, if you are new here, you are yet to subscribe to the channel PA Academy, you can take out time to click on that subscribe button to subscribe to the channel. And if you missed the other parts of this lecture series on two-port network, kindly check the playlist on two-port network and then you'll find a link to some of those videos there. So now let's look at what symmetry means. So by definition, it says a two-port network is said to be symmetrical if the ratio of excitation to response remains the same at both the ports independently with respect to the defined circuit conditions such as open circuit or short circuit. Exactly. So basically that's just definition, but let's look away from the English part of it and then let's look at it mathematically. So when we are checking if a network is symmetrical, exactly. So the conditions for a circuit or a network to be symmetric depends on the parameters of the network. Either it is a Z parameter, Y parameter, H parameter, G parameter, AB or ABCD parameter. Exactly. So now let's look at them one after the other. So let me just call this so conditions for symmetry. So you can just have it in different from condition for symmetry, condition for a circuit to be symmetrical, you are still saying the same thing. Okay. So for the first one now, we are going to be considering that of Z parameter. So for Z parameter, so for a network to be symmetrical in Z parameters, that means our Z11, so let me just write it here, that means our Z11 is equals to Z22. Exactly, that's just the condition when you are considering the Z parameter. Exactly. So basically this thing can also come in form of a question, and then you'll be given a circuit and they will ask you that you should check for symmetry for that particular two-port network. Rather, they might be giving it to a two-port network, and you'll say, okay, check if this network is symmetrical or not, or it is reciprocal or not. So we are still going to look at reciprocal, but now we are dealing with symmetrical. So now let's look at that of Y parameter. So let me just write everything else for Y parameters, H parameter, G parameter. Okay, so that should be small g. So G parameter, and then let me add then for A, B, C, D, so in capital parameters. So now let's look at each of them one after the other. So for the Y parameter, so it is when we have our Y11 to be equals to Y22. Now all this I'm writing in yellow, there are mathematical proof to it, but I won't be talking about that or going into that in this video. So and then for H parameter, so once you get your determinants for H, if it's equals to 1, then you can conclude that it is symmetrical. And then for the G parameters, the same thing. If you look for the determinant of G and you're getting it to be 1, and then for A, B, C, D, so once your A, the value you get for your A is same as the value you get for your D, then you can conclude that, okay, this two-port network is actually symmetrical. So that's one thing I want you to take note of in two-port network. Like I said earlier, you might give me a question and say that, okay, check if this two-port is symmetrical or reciprocal. So once you just go ahead and calculate either your Z parameters, your Y parameters, or your H parameters, depending on which parameters, just compare it with what you're having. So if at the end of the day, using this first one as an example now, if after doing all your calculations and then you find out that your Z11, maybe your Z11 is not equals to your Z22, then that means the two-port network is not symmetrical. It's as simple as that. Exactly. So that is basically what I want to cover under this symmetry in two-port network. In the next part, we are going to be looking at reciprocity. So I want to also encourage you to make sure you watch that part. Exactly. So you might come across questions on either symmetry or reciprocity, or even both. Exactly. So if you have any question in this with this presentation, just let me know in the comment section, and if you find value, please give it a thumbs up and let me know where you are actually watching from. Exactly. All right, so thank you very much, and I'll see you all in another one.